a large number of small businesses closed shop in Nigeria between 2017 and 2022, according to SMEDAN. Now, of course, that's the Director General of the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, Olawale Fansanya, has said that over 2 million businesses in the nano, micro, small, and medium enterprises subsector died between 2017 and 2021. As a result of these closures, this had an impact on unemployment. The DG said over 2 million Nigerians were pushed into, or rather 6 million Nigerians pushed into unemployment between 2017 and 2021. According to Olawale Fansanya of SMEDAN. He was represented by Professor Fisher Yinka of the Partnership and Coordination Department of the agency at the opening ceremony of Cluster Empowerment Program on Shea Butter, organized by the agency in collaboration with the Niger State government, which was held in Minna, the state capital. Still on jobs, KPMG has stated that the Nigerian unemployment rate has increased to 37.7% in 2022 and will further increase to 40.6% due to the continuing inflow of job seekers into the job market. The multinational consulting firm in a report tagged KPMG Global Economic Outlook H1 2023 said unemployment will continue to be a challenge due to the slower than required economic growth and inability of the economy to absorb the 45 million new entrants into the Nigerian job market every year. Still on jobs, Nigeria's Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, SAN, released job creation numbers from the National Directorate of Employment. There's his tweet, which is pretty long. We're not going to get into that. But he essentially released a number of data points from the MDE, saying jobs had been created. Finally, Nigeria's Bureau of Statistics releasing the nation's latest inflation figures over the weekend. And of course, the trajectory continues to increase. Year-on-year inflation there, 22.04%. Food inflation, 24.45%. Arise Business Analyst Chika Mbonu joins us to discuss further. Chika, good morning to you. You're very welcome.
Morning. Welcome to a new week.
Yes, a new week, and lots of jobs and inflation matters to discuss. Where would you like to begin?
Everything is about the economy.
It is about the economy, sir.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Let's drop out inflation. Let's just do inflation quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent some time on this I think last week.
Yeah.
And people were asking me, how did they arrive at these figures? You know, the inflation figure in Nigeria is done by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics.
Yeah.
They have more than 10,000, agents that they push out there to go out and check about 740 items on the basket, where they check the prices, through some iteration. Let's not dwell on that. People are going to ask me, where is X again? And that's how they arrive at that. And then you have, first of all, the main inflation, which is called the headline inflation, which is the main inflation figure. And that, for Nigeria now, is 22.04.
Yes.
And then, of course, that headline implication has two segments. One is called food inflation, which has to do with everything about food, and then core inflation, which is everything outside food, like transportation and services. So that's how these figures arrived at. So what do we see? What is new? That's nothing new.
Exactly.
The figures have been going up to 2.04. Compared to this time last year. March to March last year, it grew about more than 6%.
Yes.
Everybody knows that. So let's leave the theory. Everybody who goes to the market, who spends money in Nigeria, understands inflation.
Yeah.
The mere fact that bread, that Indomie, that tin of milk, that sardine that you're going to buy, and it was 1,000 naira before, and the next time you go to go and buy it, and they tell your guys 1.5 now, 1.8. Would nothing have the same thing over the same short period of time, tells you the prices are moving.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is that for you, your salary has not increased.
Right.
So everybody gets impact of inflation. But what are the triggers? What are the triggers for Nigeria? The triggers have been the fact that you have the transfer inflation. The Russian-Ukraine war, led to increases in scarcity of some products and increases in others. Therefore, those prices were transferred into Nigeria. Because worldwide now, what the whole world is battling about now is inflation.
Indeed.
Every central bank governor in the world is battling that. So the impacts include the fact that, one, you and me are getting poorer by the day. Because whereas our earnings are not increasing, something that we bought a bag of rice maybe 20,000 naira now, a year ago, the same salary level, now the same bag of rice is maybe double the price, you find that you need more money twice the money to that. The immediate impact is an erosion in your working capital, your standard of living.
Yeah.
That's the impact, and a lot of people, individual citizens, feel that. Now you find, therefore, someone who says, "What do you do about inflation?"
Yeah.
The chief proponent or the chief fighter of inflation in Nigeria has been the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Indeed.
And that is why even last week when I did the thing, I said they chase it through using the monetary policy. And the issue has been, as World Bank and IMF recommended, that they should be doing some tightening. Tightening means drying up money in the system. When you dry up the naira in the system, like I defined inflation last time, elementarily, I said inflation can be defined as too much money pushing too few goods.
Yeah.
And so the intention is if you dry up the naira in the system, there'll be less naira chasing the same quantity of goods. Hopefully, it will drop, prices will drop. Because those who are selling the goods will see that people who are coming to buy are fewer. And therefore, they'll be forced to bring down prices.
Yeah.
But as we have seen so far, the more Central Bank of Nigeria moved the monetary policy rate up, which is currently 18%. Yeah. Inflation is looking backward and say, you can't catch me. You can't catch me.
Yeah.
So every time is, moving to a higher gear, and that's what's happened. But the immediate impact also, the other impact had to do what they call about a negative, real interest rates. And the way I explain to our viewers is this, that if you have 1 million naira now, okay, now, as at this time, with inflation at 21%, or 1 million naira a year ago, with inflation at 21%, the value has reduced by what? 21%.
Yeah.
Because inflation has put it down by 21%. Now, for your money to have good value, positive value, the interest rate you're earning on that money must be above what? 21%.
Yeah, exactly.
For it to compensate for the loss in value, through inflation. So let's use elementarily that even that inflation is even 20%. So your 1 million naira becomes what? 980, 20% of that, that's about 800,000 naira.
Yeah.
Okay? And so the interest rate must be such that if you apply that interest rate on 1 million naira, it will earn enough interest compensating for the 200,000 naira you have lost. Otherwise, you're going to have negative interest rate.
Yeah.
And that's what the country has been having. And so an investor abroad, especially the foreign portfolio investors, will say, come on, we can't bring our money into the system. Even though interest is high, it's still negative because of what? Inflation.
Yeah.
And those are one of the consequences of the high inflation that we have in this environment. And the other consequence is because Central Bank is chasing it and increasing monetary policy rate, the effective lending rate in the country is going higher and higher.
Going up, yeah.
And borrowing rate is going to be higher.
Yeah.
And so you ask yourself, if monetary policy rate is 18%, add another 7 to it, is about 25% minimum the lending rate. So what business will you be doing in Nigeria
that can give you
that kind of margin is a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, let's leave that. So inflation, that's inflation. Let me look at unemployment if we have a little time.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Why do I begin? So that won't be,
Let's move to put that table off for you. The NDE stats. Yeah, but go ahead.
Let me start with Mr. Festus Keyamo.
Yes.
A man of many parts.
Yes.
And an SN, and lately we discovered another talent of his. An SN.
Yes.
Then a minister for labor. Okay.
Yes.
And then we had a little talent that has had exercised in the last, 6 months, or lately, And so, like a man of many talents, he appears that, God didn't endow him equally. So one of those talents hasn't been as strong as his SAN and so on and so forth.
Right.
And so when these figures that they pushed out for a country that KPMG has said unemployment is going to be about 40%.
Yeah.
Well, let's even use the base rate of like 100 million Nigerians who can work. So 40% of that is about 48 million.
Yeah.
And then you're pushing out. When I saw this and I said, is this in thousands?
Exactly. As also we've been wondering.
Or is it in millions?
Yes.
But these are trickles.
Yeah.
These are actually in the single figures.
Exactly.
So how will this be chasing? We have 48 million Nigerians who are unemployed. And then these are the report cards. So if ordinarily somebody gives this kind of report card, and he's celebrating it, I wonder what, listen. Maybe that's why, like yesterday, I think we listened to one of the better persons before Mr. Fashola,
yes,
who used to be a better person until he became Colombo and discovered non-existent cameras at Tollgate. Yeah. He used to be a very person that we used to be interested in, but said that our head of state is akin to that coach that sends out his team and just stays on the line for 90 minutes and make anything you want to play, you play.
Yeah.
Now, you can do that as a coach if your team is made of Ronaldos and Messi's and so on. But you have a team of second 11 or third 11.
Right.
You can't, as a coach, you must intervene. And that's why we're a minister like Kayamo, in a country where we have 40, 50 million Nigerians unemployed, will be giving us this as a report card of people who are employed, is that. SMEDAN, what is new?
Okay, the SMEDAN, yes, the SMEs-Dead.
Why are you guys suddenly surprised about some of these reports? The nano companies, the SMEs, are buffeted with the challenge. But even if it's just the arborers, lack of power, water, security, multiple taxation. Raw materials cannot come. Even clearing things from the port, inflation, exchange rate. I mean, which one? Meanwhile, they control about 90-95% of the economy. And so when we're talking about unemployment and so on, these are the sectors
exactly we need to look at.
Yeah. And make them work. Provide them the incentives they require to make sure that they employ people. But if they're dying and closing, are you surprised, therefore, that if the unemployment rate is going up?
Arise Business Analyst Chika Mbonu. Chika, thank you so much for talking to us about this. Your jobs are very important. Appreciate your time.
Very much.